Hello and thank you so much for joining me. Firstly, huge apologies because this video was meant to be up last night on Saturday night, but we had a friend come round and we had a really nice time, and then it was 11 o'clock and I was falling asleep. So I'm really sorry. The video was ready to go and I just didn't get around to the voiceover. Today is all about simple, quick card making and kind of using up what we've got in our stash and making the most of our expensive cardstock. So I'm focusing on watercolor card, and I keep every single bit of scrap card from my watercolor. Now, quality watercolor card is expensive, so this is why I keep it. And I've got this nice big pile that I keep in this little kind of Polly Pocket envelope thing. And I keep this under my desk ready to go for whenever I need a bit of watercolor card for a project. So I pulled out some of the ones that are the same kind of size and got them ready. And I've got this ivory colored cardstock. This is from Lime Tree Crafts here in the UK. And the reason I'm going with ivory is because if you see white, it's quite significantly different. Whereas ivory usually blends quite nicely with watercolor card. I think Tim Holtz's watercolor card is quite white. The Arteza watercolor card, which is what I use, is more yellowy tinged. So you can see it's a nice perfect match and goes well with this cardstock that I'm going to have as my card base. So my watercolor card, again, is Arteza's watercolor card. I really love it. I have tried several different kinds. I've tried a lot of different companies, and I don't get the same results. So I keep going back to this one, and I've got a nice little stock of it now. I've also got my Arteza watercolor pens. These are the Twimarkers that I'm going to use today, and they are my favorite watercolor pens. They've got a fine tip on one end and a brush tip on the other end. They also have these brush pens here. I don't get on with these ones so much. They're not, I don't know, I don't think I know how to use them. They're they're brush pens, brush tip pens, but they're very brush-like, whereas the other ones are more marker-like. So here's the Arteza card. You can see it's quite grainy, quite textured. This is a cheaper branded watercolor card that I got from a different card company. I'm going to share with you the difference just so you can kind of see. Because sometimes if you're playing around with watercolor card and you're not getting the right effect, it can be really disheartening and you might think you're doing something wrong. But I'm just going to share with you the two different kinds of watercolor card. So on the right hand side, this is the cheaper brand, the cheap version that's called watercolor card. On the left is the Arteza stuff. And you can see it flows and it moves instantly. This is just a pen filled with water. And all I'm doing is squeezing while I'm dragging the pen down, and you can see the color instantly shift and all those lines just blend right out. So it makes a big difference. If you're struggling with watercolor, it might be your cardstock, and it's worth taking a look at what you're using and maybe trying a different brand. So all these little scraps are my Arteza watercolor card scraps. And I've got these Twimarkers that I've gone ahead and picked out in colors that kind of work together. So they're obviously the primary colors, so when you mix them, they create another color. I just went with the simple ones because I didn't want too much brain power. This took me less than half an hour tonight to do all this. And don't forget your wine. This was last night. I had my glass of wine. It's now Sunday. It's not glass of wine night, but you know, it's worth having a drink when you're getting crafty, isn't it? It's quite fun. So anyways, I'm just going ahead and I'm just squeezing my watercolor pen and dragging the color along while I'm doing it. This pen that I'm using, I believe, is a Jane Davenport one. I'll link it if I can. If it's still available on CraftStash, I'll link that down below. And it's just a pen that you fill with water. Arteza sells them as well. They're just a bit of a higher price point, but you'll see me use one in a minute because it works well with my homemade glitter that goes in. Here it is. So I have this pen here and it works super well with my homemade glitter, which I'll link that video down below for you. So this has got actual homemade glitter pen in it. So it's kind of like the Wink of Stella inside my little pen, and I'm just dragging that all over my watercolor card, and so that one comes out very shiny and very shimmery. So I'm just having a play here and I'm just having fun with my markers. I'm doing some graduated colors, I'm doing some color blending, and I'm just kind of having fun. And this took me probably 10 to 15 minutes. I only got out about 6 colors and just had fun. Maybe not even 6 colors. So you see that shiny one there in the middle. I did heat set them with my heat gun because I wanted to work with them right away and create something, so I just went ahead and dried them off with my gun. If it starts to curl, just flip it over and heat it from the other side and it should flatten right back out. So I've got all my little scraps. I got that graduated one from Arteza, which I will put on a card and I'll just chop off where I wrote Arteza. This is the shimmer pen one. I've got my sort of rainbowy one in the middle. I've got another sort of square panel graduated color. And then I've got this fun sort of primary color blend and then a sort of angles color. I don't know how to describe these. If an artist watched me, they'd probably be like, oh, this is really torturous. I don't know how to describe stuff. So I'm getting started. I'm going to share with you how I make one card and then you'll see the rest of them at the end because I do turn them into cards. So I decided to stick this right in the middle of the card because it seemed to work as a nice border around it. And I had this butterfly and it's left over from my card the other night. So in the midweek video, I did this card here with the high and I had that scrap left over. And it comes from this set here. And it does say there's 3 pieces in there, but there are actually 4. You get 4 dies in this set. You get 3 that coordinate together and layer up. And then you get a 4th one that goes with the stamp that you can buy that coordinates with this set. So I've got the stamp set as well. I purchased these from Cardstock, and I think these dies were about £14. And I know that today, on Sunday, they're on offer for, I think, 20 or 30% off. So I was tempted to get the owl ones. I wasn't sure if I should or not, but they're so cool too. Okay, so I've gone and cut out 4 altogether. So I've got my holographic card on the top, and then I've got 3 layers of the vanilla cardstock, the same as the card base. And I'm just going to trim off the little fiddly bits because I don't need those layered up. They can just kind of have the top layer and that's good enough. And I'm just going to apply glue to the center of the butterfly and coming out onto the wing just a tiny bit. And what I kind of wanted was for you to be able to look at the card from the side and see a whole bunch of layers like it's flapping its wings. It sounds ridiculous, doesn't it? But that's kind of what I wanted to do on this little one. And I love how it turned out in the end. It doesn't quite look like it's, you know, flapping its wings, but it gives it a lot more dimension, and it took me no time at all to die cut out those extras and glue them together, especially when I cut off the fiddly bits. So I've just stuck that down in the middle. And then I will go ahead and add a sentiment when I know what I want to use it for. So if I'm going to use it for a birthday or something, I'll do that. This is my box of love. My kids love going through this box. This is where I chuck everything from all my projects. You can see my 25 idea embossing folders are all in there. Leftover bits from when I was going crazy with trying out colors and explosion powders and all those kind of things. Any die shapes I have left over, any stamped images I have left over, I chuck them in this box. And this box is free for all for anyone that comes over to craft. They can take what they like, they can play with it, friends can come over and have a go through it, and it's just kind of a fun box that I just keep to the side where I keep all those die cuts and all those extra pieces. And I just went through this and pulled out stuff that I could put on the front of my cards. So thinking, ooh, I could do this circle and then cut off the scrap around it. I had so many ideas going while I was digging through here. But I could dig for hours. But this is a brilliant way to kind of keep hold of those little die cuts. And we're on to my finished projects. So I added on some of the flowers that I had left over from flowers I did the other day. These are Alina's butterflies from her website. I'll try and remember to link them if you want them. And I just kind of used up the scraps and just created some fun cards. So here's that first one I did with you. I've got it into the side opening. I switched up how I did my card bases as well. I switched up whether they're top opening, normal opening, or the side. And then my last one you'll see. It's worth paying attention while you're doing these quick card making because I do this every single time. It looks great, doesn't it? Until you realize, uh-oh, it's the wrong way. Never mind. I will cut that panel off and I'll glue it back onto another card base and it'll be fine. So yeah, I hope you had a great time with me tonight. I hope you get out your scraps and make use of them and have fun with them. And thank you so much for joining me. And I'm sorry this wasn't on Saturday night. I will not have a midweek video, just to warn you. We are preparing to move house and put our house on the market. So I'm going to be focusing on cleaning this week. But anyways, I'll see you next Saturday. Take care. Bye.